Have you ever stared at a beautiful handcrafted wooden item, maybe like a rustic shelf or a unique birdhouse, or even just a really sturdy little step stool and thought, "Wow, that looks incredible, but there's just no way I could make that." Or maybe you've thought about picking up a new skill, something hands-on, where you actually create something tangible. But the whole idea of expensive tools and complex techniques and just endless hours, it felt completely out of reach. Well, get ready for a deep dive today because we're going to challenge those assumptions. We are cutting through that intimidation factor and unlocking the really rewarding world of beginner-friendly woodworking. We're talking about how you can tap into that creative, practical skill without getting totally overwhelmed and actually create something genuinely useful and beautiful, maybe, often in just a single weekend. So our mission today is to sort of distill the core insights from our source material. I've got these fantastic excerpts from Weekend Woodworking for Beginners, and they show you exactly how accessible this craft really is. Imagine this. By Sunday evening, you can have a brand new item for your home or garden. Something crafted by your own hands. It's about more than just the object itself, right? It's gaining a new skill, building some genuine confidence, and seeing your ideas literally take shape right there in front of you.
Yeah, and what's often overlooked is just that sheer mental barrier people have with woodworking. So many people believe you need, I don't know, a fully equipped professional workshop or years of apprenticeship, maybe a deep understanding of complex joinery just to start. And our source material, it immediately pushes back against that idea. It really focuses on accessibility, minimal tools needed, and these quick achievable projects, the kind that deliver immediate satisfaction. It really helps dispel those pervasive myths and highlight some really practical entry points for anyone who's even just a little bit curious.
Okay, so for someone maybe standing in the hardware store right now, feeling perhaps a bit overwhelmed by all the options, what's the single most important piece of advice our sources offer for just getting started? Is it really about getting the fanciest tools first? Or is it something else?
No, it's absolutely not about the tools first, surprisingly enough. Our sources make it, well, unequivocally clear. The best way in. Start small and simple, and if we kind of connect this to the bigger picture for woodworking, these small projects are just crucial. Why? Because they offer immediate, tangible feedback. Feedback on fundamental skills like making square cuts, getting assemblies level, unlike maybe painting, where you can easily paint over a mistake. A miscut piece of wood can feel, well, it can feel like a costly or irreversible error,
Yeah.
which can be incredibly discouraging for a beginner. So those quick, tangible successes, they're not just motivating, they're actually essential for building the precision habits
Yeah.
and the patience needed for bigger stuff later.
Right, that immediate sense of accomplishment, that sounds incredibly powerful. But is there like a common misconception or maybe a subtle pitfall beginners often fall into, even with these simpler projects? Something our sources specifically warn against?
Yeah, a really significant pitfall is trying to jump into something too ambitious too soon. A lot of beginners, they see a complex bookshelf or maybe a dining table, and they just get discouraged by the sheer number of steps or the precision required. Our sources really emphasize that the trick is selecting projects that break the learning down. Break it into manageable chunks. You build confidence by actually finishing a project successfully. You create something useful, something beautiful, and you truly don't need that huge financial investment in tools or, years of experience. All you really need are some basic supplies, maybe a few handheld tools, and crucially, clear, easy-to-follow plans.
Okay, so with that solid foundation of why starting small is key, let's get to the what. Our sources highlight 5 specific projects, perfect for a weekend, ideal for kicking off your woodworking journey. Which one, maybe in your experience, tends to be the most surprising success story? For someone who thought they couldn't build anything. Well, let's just dive right into number 1. Our source material kicks us off with the classic birdhouse. It's often called the ultimate first project for beginners. And honestly, it makes a lot of sense why. It's mainly straight cuts, meaning you're mostly just sawing along a line, much simpler than curves. Simple joints, too, usually use butt joints held with screws or nails. And its small size just makes it really manageable. You just need, like, a few pieces of scrap wood, some nails or screws, a bit of sandpaper. That's about it. Plus, it's functional, it's decorative, and it's just a charming way to bring nature closer.
That brings up a really crucial point, though. Why does something like a birdhouse resonate so strongly as a first project? It isn't just the simplicity, although that helps. It's that immediate visible connection to nature, right? And the tangible outcome. That just reinforces the joy of actually creating something. And what's often overlooked is how well it teaches you to measure accurately and make precise square cuts, because even a slightly off-kilter angle It makes assembling those small pieces noticeably difficult. It's good feedback. Our sources also note that, common beginner woodworking plans, they offer multiple variations, simple single-hole designs, maybe multi-compartment houses, so you can try different challenges.
Absolutely. Okay, so if you're ready to bring those new skills indoors, our sources suggest a really versatile piece, the floating wall shelf. I mean, everyone needs a bit more storage or display space, right? This project is incredibly beginner friendly, usually just involves a few rectangular boards, some brackets, straightforward cuts, nothing too complex. Material wise, you're usually looking at common, inexpensive woods. Pine maybe, or plywood boards, plus wall brackets, screws, and a basic drill. And what you'll love is how useful and stylish it can be, but crucially, it teaches you how to measure and level precisely. Those are foundational skills for any home improvement or woodworking project. You'll definitely understand why that little bubble in the level matters so much.
Oh, yeah. And what's fascinating here is how such a simple shelf project subtly introduces these core precision skills. Skills that are totally transferable to much more complex builds later on. It's practical learning in action. You're not just, cutting and joining wood. You're learning why squaring your cuts matters, making sure edges are true, precisely locating those mounting points. Because if a shelf isn't level, or if the pieces aren't cut exactly the same length, it's immediately obvious. It's excellent visual feedback for improving your technique. And many woodworking plan resources, they often show a whole range of shelf designs, from rustic farmhouse styles to sleek modern looks, so you can practice the fundamentals while still making it your own aesthetically.
Right. Okay, next up, number 3, a small wooden step stool. This isn't just a great starter project. Our sources say it's one of the most practical things you'll ever make, and they really emphasize its utility for beginners. It's highlighted specifically for teaching basic joinery, things like butt joints reinforced with screws or maybe dowels, and it focuses on stability but without being overwhelming. Material-wise, you'll want durable wood. Our sources suggest oak for ultimate stability, but they also mention pine as, easier to work with and more affordable if you're just starting. You'll also need screws or dowels and definitely a sander for smoothing those edges. And the best part, it's just so versatile. Use it in the kitchen for high shelves, in your workshop, or hey, even as a cute plant stand.
Exactly. And from a skill building perspective, the step stool is excellent because it puts such a clear focus on structural integrity. You learn how each joint, each fastener, contributes to making the piece sturdy and safe, especially since it's going to bear weight. That's important. So this means understanding how to align pieces perfectly, secure them so they don't wobble or flex under pressure. That's a critical lesson for any furniture making. And just getting a feel for how different woods respond to cutting and fastening. That's another valuable early lesson this project facilitates. And those detailed step stool plans you find in beginner resources. They specifically guide you through creating safe, sturdy builds, reinforcing that essential knowledge right from the start.
Okay, project number 4. Want to learn woodworking while creating maybe a heartfelt gift or some home decor. The wooden picture frame is perfect for that. This project specifically focuses on precision cutting and assembling small parts, which really hones your attention to detail. You'll typically just need some thin wood strips, wood glue, clamps, and maybe an optional glass insert depending on the style. What you'll love is the ability to customize the design. You can paint it, stain it, make it a truly personal touch. Great for a present or just for your own home.
That raises a really interesting point about working with small parts. How exactly does focusing on these miniature components enhance learning? Well, it forces that attention to detail and accuracy, but on a manageable scale. Any small gap, any misaligned cut, it's immediately visible on a frame, and it can impact the whole appearance, teaching you about the unforgiving nature of visible joinery, this kind of meticulousness. Practiced on a smaller scale, it builds a really strong foundation. Essential before you tackle larger pieces where errors might be less obvious initially, but ultimately more impactful. And general woodworking resources, they often provide easy templates for multiple frame styles, giving beginners a guided path to explore different looks while practicing that precision.
Love that. Okay, finally, number 5. For those with a green thumb, or maybe just looking to spruce up the patio, our sources enthusiastically recommend a garden planter box. This is just a fantastic way to combine 2 hobbies, right? Gardening and woodworking. It's a pretty straightforward box design, usually simple cuts. And because it's meant for outdoor use, small mistakes are actually more forgiving. A slight gap might just add to the rustic charm. And the weather will eventually obscure minor imperfections anyway. For materials, Pressure-treated lumber or cedar are often recommended. Good weather resistance, plus screws and a drill. Pretty standard stuff. And what you'll love is ending up with this functional piece that instantly upgrades your garden or patio or balcony.
Yeah, and what's particularly valuable there is that forgiving mistakes aspect you mentioned. It's such a great example of how project choice can significantly reduce frustration for a beginner. You can focus on the process, measuring, cutting, assembling, without being paralyzed by the fear of achieving perfection. Plus, choosing weather-resistant materials like cedar or pressure-treated lumber, that introduces you to the concept of material suitability for specific applications, which is actually a really crucial aspect of woodworking knowledge. And our sources point out that there are blueprints available for everything from small herb boxes to large raised beds. So it provides scalable challenges while keeping that beginner-friendly approach for outdoor projects.
Right. So after diving into those 5 projects, you probably are seeing a clear pattern emerge here. What do our sources really highlight as the unifying characteristics, the things that make these projects so effective for beginners?
Yeah, delving a bit deeper into that idea, all these projects share some really critical characteristics. Characteristics that position them as excellent learning tools, especially when you're just starting out. First, they explicitly state minimal tools and materials are needed. That's huge. It significantly lowers the barrier to entry for a hobby often seen as expensive, requiring a big initial investment. Second, and this is crucial for that immediate sense of accomplishment we talked about, they can all realistically be finished in just one weekend. That provides that quick gratification essential for building momentum, keeping you going. Third, they are specifically designed to build foundational skills, like accurate measuring, straight cutting, smooth sanding, effective finishing. These are the core mechanics of woodworking. You'll use them on pretty much every future project. And finally, you're left with something truly practical and rewarding. A tangible reminder of your new skill and a genuine boost to your confidence.
Okay, so you've got your first weekend project done. It's under your belt.
Yeah.
Maybe you're totally hooked now. What's next? What's next for the budding woodworker? How do you keep that momentum going without getting, lost in a sea of increasingly advanced designs and techniques?
That really is the key challenge for many who get that first taste of creating something. Once you've mastered these foundational steps, the desire for more complex builds often kicks in. But without proper guidance, it can quickly become overwhelming. And this is where having a comprehensive, structured resource becomes just invaluable, something that can effectively guide you through that next phase of learning and prevent you from just hitting a wall and giving up.
And our source specifically highlights a resource that seems to excel at providing that kind of continuous guidance. It mentions Ted's woodworking plans. It's presented as a way to continue learning, and I like this quote, without frustration or wasted time. Which, for a new woodworker, that sounds like gold. Our sources emphasize its vast library boasting over 16,000 step-by-step plans for virtually every project you could imagine. But what really stands out, especially for our audience today, is that these aren't just for experts. They're praised for having beginner-friendly blueprints. With clear diagrams, material lists, making sure you know exactly what you need and what to do, it just eliminates so much of the guesswork.
Exactly. And the beauty of a resource like this, as our sources explain it, is its sheer scalability. It offers projects for literally all skill levels, ensuring you'll never feel like you've run out of ideas or hit some kind of progression ceiling. And that efficiency is paramount too. The plans are tested, proven. They save you time, money, and mistakes. Invaluable for anyone wanting to develop their skills, especially without the frustration of repeated failures or wasted materials. The range of ambition it covers is also quite impressive, from small crafts all the way up to home furniture or even larger outdoor structures like sheds or decks. It provides a continuous learning path, whether you're building just for personal enjoyment or maybe even considering a side hustle, selling your creations.
Wow, what a deep dive. We've really unpacked some genuinely accessible ways to start woodworking, maybe even this weekend. Just imagine by Sunday evening, you could actually have a brand new birdhouse or a stylish floating shelf, or maybe a useful garden planter box that you built with your own hands. This isn't just about making things, is it? It's about gaining a new skill, building real confidence, and seeing your own creativity come to life. It feels incredibly empowering.
Absolutely. And if we connect this to the bigger picture, the true value of starting with these smaller, manageable projects isn't just the finished item itself, it's that profound shift. The shift from being just a consumer of ready-made goods to becoming a creator, someone who can manifest an idea into a tangible object with their own hands. And this sort of raises an important question for you, the listener. What small step could you take this weekend, maybe, To explore a new skill, it doesn't even have to be woodworking. Yeah, and experience that deep satisfaction of creating something yourself rather than simply buying it.
Ready to get started. The path to becoming a woodworker, it really is clearer and more rewarding than you might think. We hope this deep dive has sparked your interest, giving you the confidence maybe to pick up some tools and create something amazing. We'll catch you on the next deep dive.